Hello, and welcome back to the Strive 305 High School Economic Fellowship podcast. I'm Clint John, your host, and today we're honored to sit down with a dynamic leader who has spent over a decade in shaping public policy, education, and economic growth in South Florida. She'll correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2012, she became the youngest person ever elected to the Doral City Council. She went on to serve the Miami-Dade School Board, overseeing a $7 billion budget. And in 2022, she made history as the first female mayor of the city of Doral, recently elected with an astonishing 80% of the vote. Under her leadership, Doral has achieved historic AAA bond rating, reduced crime by 30%, completed the 32-acre Doral Central Park, and streamlined government for local small businesses. Please join me in welcoming Doral Mayor Christi Fraga.
Thank you, Clint. What a wonderful introduction.
Welcome to the show. I got everything correct?
The only thing I think is the Doral Central Park is 80 acres.
Okay, 80.
Yeah, 82 acres, yeah.
82, okay. Amazing. So Mayor Fraga, you entered public office in 2012 as the youngest person ever elected to your city's council. At Virtute and Popular, our fellows are high school leaders who often face what we call the chaperone paradox. People asking if we belong in the room. When you first stepped into City Hall as a young leader, how did you earn respect, quiet the skeptics, and translate your energy into legislative results?
Oh, that is a great question. And I can understand how I think many students and young adults who very much deserve a place at the table and probably have better ideas than some of my colleagues that I've shared spaces with can question whether they belong at the table, and maybe others would question it. And I would say absolutely. So when I ran, I was 22 years old. And so, yeah, it was tough. And even till this day, I would tell you, I probably get more pushback, or I'm probably underestimated more because of my age than because I'm a woman, to say. And so it's, I think, a challenge we're constantly facing. The way I did it was, first, I constantly showed up and had to prove myself. I never walked into a room unprepared. I knew the topics. I was well versed in them. I engulfed myself in reading and educating. I went back, for example, in our historical context of the city, all the available council meetings that were recorded via video, I went back and I watched them, and I educated myself before my first council meeting and even going into the role, so that I knew the topics well. So when I went door to door knocking on people's door, it wasn't, they were encountering someone who had context and added value to the conversation. And so I think that's really important for our youth, is like, educate yourself on topics that you're interested in, so that when you're sitting at a table, it's easy to have those conversations and to give your opinion and back it up with facts and good context. So I think that each of us has the ability to bring something valuable to the table, even when we may have difference of opinions. We just have to find the courage to be able to share them. And I have found that courage comes from having knowledge of the information or the subject. Yeah. At least for me, I feel very confident in talking about things. Being prepared gives you confidence. Absolutely, I feel very confident in talking about things that I know. Yeah. And so, how am I going to know about something? I go find out. Yeah. And I study it, and I become the best that I can be in that subject matter. So we all there's space for all of us at the table. So I would encourage our students absolutely to get involved. And anyone who tells you don't have a space at the table or you don't belong at the table, prove them wrong.
Amazing. And we always say, if you can't get in through the front door, climb through the window.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you created Doral's first youth advisory board.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, my chief programming officer, Mateo Cisneros, is a member of your board. Yeah. And he was mayor for a day in our Youth Governance Day program. So during your first council tenure, why is it vital for municipal governments to create real structural avenues for youth voice rather than just ceremonial photo ops?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it brings a lot of value. I think it brings a lot of value. They bring a perspective that's important for our community. They bring a perspective that will help us build for future generations. And I think that at the end of the day, their involvement changes the way we make decisions. So I think it's extremely important that we don't just have it to have it, but we have it to show, results for that for their community. So out of that youth advisory board, we've done college preparedness fairs, we've done mental health stuff, things that really impact them and that they feel they need to be heard through. So I very much value the youth advisory board. It's hard with these volunteer boards. Obviously there's so much going on, whether it's your clubs, sports, but I think it gives a great platform for these students to get involved, learn. I encourage them to come to council meetings. They have to come and present. So it really gives them a sense of belonging and purpose into shaping the city that they call home.
Amazing. One of our initiatives this month is SOS, Speak Out September.
Okay.
And so we're encouraging youth all across the county, especially during budget season, to go and speak out and make their voice heard. A lot of people think council meetings are something you see in movies when the seniors go complain about the loud parties on their block, but council meetings are real.
Yeah.
And so we're encouraging youth to make their voice heard.
Yeah, good.
So our Strive 305 fellows have been researching small business succession and administrative bottlenecks around the county. You created Doral, a one-stop resource at City Hall to cut through bureaucracy and focused heavily on improving building department turnaround times. What are the biggest friction points that small business owners face when dealing with city government, and how can cities modernize to help commercial corridors thrive?
That's a great question. Something I'm still trying to really understand how we can be more efficient with, right? So obviously AI, a big deal right now and something we're trying to implement. What I see and what I've kind of sat with my team is that this is the vision I have. It is not a reality yet. But I know we're not far from it. And I know that it's not because we don't have the capabilities to do it. I will tell you the pushback and I think the sensitivity of it from the staff's perspective and the professionals' perspective is I think that I don't want to use the word afraid, but they are sensitive to the possibilities of losing a sense of need, right? Like that we need them. I think that they're afraid of, we will create a void in the need for inspectors. Right. People. And I've always said we're never going to have a void or lose the need of having inspectors and people, and we're not going to lose the human touch. So what I've kind of tried to do this year, so we added no new positions to our budget this year. That was like my big thing. I told every department, usually every year you'll see like, I need this position, and you'll have 4, 5, 6, when you're with 23 new positions created. And the city was growing. So that's very typical. And I don't think we grew outside of the organic growth of the city that it was experiencing. The city needed. We're only 23 years incorporated. Right. So there's absolutely, it would be naive to think that we were going to stay at 200 employees that we were at in 2012 to where we are today. We have 90,000 residents, between 85 and 90,000 residents. Census has us a little lower, but we know we're a little higher. So we obviously, there was a need for growth. But this year, I asked staff, I said, look, not only are we trying to find reductions and cost savings because we want to reduce our millage, which we were able to do. Amazing. Which is great. We wanted to set an example. But I want to encourage our team to become more efficient with their time. So we are going to incentivize them to use AI and technology to free up their time to learn new roles. I guarantee you, we're going to give you our commitment that no one will be
You're not going to be fired. Yeah.
We're not going to get rid of positions. But show us the incentive, the initiative to create or to make yourself more efficient with AI and free up your time to do new things. And we're going to invest in your personal development, which will help you. Maybe in the future, should that role become vacant, maybe we don't need to refill it, with AI and things that we're seeing. But that's not the goal. The goal is to continue to have a successful and efficient workforce, but using artificial intelligence and the opportunities that exist to make our current team more efficient and reliable. So one of the things that I see in my mind as something I would like to be at in the next year or so is that when you submit your building plans, let's say in our portal, they immediately get reviewed. So from the moment you submit, it'll do like a checklist, and you'll get a response or like all green check marks that you have the right stamp, you have your insurance, you have the signatures, because you'll be surprised right now when you upload into our system, that doesn't get looked at until a human person comes and actually checks and sees, okay, every seal is there, every signature is there. And what happens, and I don't agree with this, but it's what happens in the bureaucratic systems of government, is, oh, the seal's missing, reject.
Yeah.
So nobody even looks at the set of plans.
Because there's so much work to do.
It gets rejected for a seal. Something that the rest of the plans could be perfect, they usually aren't. But if a seal's missing, oh, reject. So that person now loses it by the time that the contractor, because it doesn't go to the business owner, it goes back to the contractor. The contractor has 5 other jobs or 10 other jobs or 20 other jobs. Now a week later, they see the emails that got rejected because of a seal. You've lost a week. Now reload with the seal. Now it takes another week for it to get into the queue, or 4 days for it to get into the queue of our inspectors. Now the inspector opens it up. Oh, now it's missing this. So, and that's what people get frustrated on. And I understand. So why can't we have a system? You upload it. The building code is Florida building code. Plus we have ours. I do not see why AI can't read that from the moment you send it. Says you're missing, give you, like when you do, I don't know, you know how sometimes you run, you do a survey, or you're doing an application. It tells you check mark. You answered everything correctly for an application. Same thing. You upload it and it says your plans have every single sheet it should have. They all have the seal. They're all consistent. You meet every basic building code, right? So you get a general like check mark. Your plans are good to go. Now it goes into the queue of an inspector. The 4 days that we usually give a window for. We actually have 10 to 15 days, but within 4 days we're usually checking them. Now the inspector gives it a second eye. So now it's the human eye checking, the AI saying, okay, I missed this. Sometimes there's room for interpretation of certain codes, right? So you can interpret, well, this said it doesn't meet it, but it's fine. I'm going to give it. And then you have an actual then you approve the plans, approve the permit, the work starts, and you still have to have an inspector come out and check the work. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be using AI to take advantage of that time.
Right.
And so that's where I've sat with our building department and said, I want this. Why isn't this getting done? And they're like, yes, there's programs that do it, but there's always a but. There's always like a hurdle to get across. So my goal and our city's goal is to be there in the next year.
Amazing.
We have implemented things like Launch 45, which we basically guarantee that your business can open in 45 days. But your business has to meet certain criteria, right? So it's like if you purchased a business that was a barbershop and now you want it to be, I don't know, a spa, that could qualify. Or you wanted it to, or you bought a sub shop and now you want it to be a bakery. So it's got to be kind of like in the same categories, because you don't need a lot of huge renovations. Those things can be done in about 45 days. Actually, our turnaround time is usually about 15 to 20 days for those type of revisions. Usually what takes a long time is the county. It has to go through Durham. It has to go through fire. We don't have our own fire. We don't have our Durham. Now, what I was able to do in the last 3 years, which I'm super proud of, is we were able to convince Miami-Dade County Fire, and we pay for it, to have an inspector on site in Doral 2 times a week to review stuff, because it would take a really long time. But now we have direct access. It's available in our city, and that's really helps kind of speed up the fire side. Still having a lot of problems with the Durham side, but I do think we've gotten much better. And when I talk to contractors and business owners around that do business throughout the county, they usually will tout to Doral's successes of expediency, right? They're like, out of all the cities or the county, Doral's one of the easier ones to work with. We're very responsive. I have a constituent services team that, helps. Our economic development team is very involved. So as long as you reach out to one of us, and this is what I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call us or come see us or come to our constituent services. That's what we're there for. A lot of times we see that people end up in a huge problem or lose an entire year or lose a lot of money because they didn't come and ask. So we've been doing a lot of like know before you lease seminars so that people have access to our information and they can come and ask us the questions. Like, don't go lease a space if it doesn't have the zoning requirements or the uses you need for your business. And not only should the business owner know this, but realtors should know this. So we're doing a lot of information and resource education so that business owners and members of our community can't say they didn't know. And if they didn't know, they have access to us. Come and knock on our door. Not to take the permanent runners or the lobbyists out of business, but that's what we're here for. We're here to answer you. And so I have a policy in my office of a 48-hour turnaround time to answer an email.
Wow.
And I'm super strict about that. Like, to me, government should be responsive. If there's one thing that we should be, it's responsive. So, even if we don't have the answer, I tell my staff all the time, even if you don't have the answer today, respond. You have 48 hours to respond and say, thank you so much for your email. We are definitely looking into it. And I will follow up in another 48 hours. I have to ask XYZ department. And we all get our heads together. And if we don't have a response for that person, we respond and say, listen, we weren't able to solve the problem. But until you get a true resolution for that person, whether it was a positive outcome or a negative outcome, we need to be responsive to those people. And that's been a big thing that I've been very big on that. And I think it's been one of the successes of our customer service.
Amazing.
Or like we say, exceptional service is what we strive to be. And Doral was really created for that. It's a one-stop shop. I want everybody to feel like they can come here to gain direct access to information.
Amazing.
And resources.
Definitely a topic of great breadth. And I think that a lot of cities permitting is where they get the volume of calls from.
Yes.
And so actually we took 19 students for 14 weeks, high school students. We took them to Miami DDA, Downtown Development Authority, Port Miami, the airport, and we taught them about economics. And after we said, do a legislative proposal to the Board of County Commissioners. You want to know what they came up with after visiting small businesses? A system where the cities would have a county kiosk in City Hall.
Which we have now.
Amazing.
Yes.
With Manny Sid, right?
Yes, we have it now.
And
yes.
so, because cities would send business owners from the county say, oh, you need this from the county.
Yes.
Come back.
And it was a back and forth. It was shuffling. Yes.
Like, it's hard. So
absolutely.
you know well about that.
Oh,
so
yes.
Our fellows were super instrumental.
By the way, I'm a business owner.
Amazing.
I've had several businesses. My husband and I, we've opened businesses from scratch. We had ice cream stores in different cities throughout the county and in Broward County. So no one can tell us. I mean, like, I've actually done it where we got a space in a vanilla shell, which is like sand on the floor and just no walls. And we built our entire stores. So, and we did everything from, we bought a yogurt shop and converted it. We did, pre-construction where we got just a vanilla shell. So we've done all of it. So I've done it from the business side. So I speak from a place of not just understanding the public sector, but truly understanding the private sector too. Amazing. And the challenges and how time is money in business, no matter what. And so I want people to know that when I fight for you, it's from both sides, right?
Yeah.
I try and have a very understanding perspective from both and an unbiased perspective I always tell staff, I'm like, look, I'm not here to defend you and I'm not here to defend the resident. I'm here to find the solution, right? So I have to be on this, because staff can get a little defensive, but so can the business owner, right? So I put myself in both shoes and I fight for both. When staff is right, and when the business owner is right, the business owner is right. And so I always say I have a responsibility to both.
Yeah. And two truths can exist at the same time.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I tell that to our staff. I'm like, guys have to see this as constructive criticism. When they come to me and they're telling me, these are all the challenges I found, I will sit there and do what I can to explain sometimes our process and where our challenges or our, where we're kind of withheld, right? Because sometimes there are challenges. There are bureaucratic processes that have been put in place, not by even us, but by Tallahassee or by the state, or there's checks and balances that are there on purpose, right? And those are measures that we have to respect in the public sector. So I will explain those things to the business owner that they may not see necessarily. But at the same time, I'll tell staff when there are things we can do better. Our goal is to improve on those things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So about 2 weeks ago, our team visited Supervisor Garcia's office for a tour. And of course, that's in Doral. And I decided, you know what? I want to take the Metro Rail today. So if you guess what I did, I walked from her office to the Medley station.
You walked?
Yes.
That's really far. Why didn't you take our trolley?
Oh, we didn't know about that, but I like walking.
So we have two things. We have the trolley and we have freebie that'll take you to the Metro.
Amazing.
From there.
Well, I didn't know. But while walking, I discovered that Doral is a powerhouse for international logistics, trade, and corporate headquarters. Yeah. How do you balance rapid economic growth and corporate development with maintaining neighborhood identity and environmental health, like your ongoing fight regarding municipal waste and community health?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would even take it one step further. Live Local completely, threatens that. The Live Local Act from the state of Florida. Okay, so in 2023, the state passed a law called the Live Local Act, Senate Bill 102. And basically what it does is it completely preempts cities from making decisions on zoning matters that fall under this bill. So a developer who chooses to build 40% workforce housing and basically invoke their opportunity to build under the Live Local can build in any commercial, industrial, or mixed-use zoning, which typically cities would not allow residential development on, right? Mm-hmm. So, mixed use, yes, but like industrial and commercial, we wouldn't allow residential in those zoning categories. Well, what Senate Bill 102 does is it kind of usurps that and circumvents the city's process to evaluate whether that type of development would be allowed in that zoning, because you could do a zoning change, right? But basically what it does is it takes the city out of that decision and administratively requires the city to approve that development without coming to city council. So it takes away our ability to protect our neighborhoods, our natural characteristics of really truly having planning, comprehensive and responsible planning vision for the city, which is what our comp plan does. It decides this area is commercial, this area is industrial, this area is residential, this is going to be downtown, this is going to be mixed use, right? That's what it does. It sets a tone and a plan for the growth of the city. Well, basically, Live Local comes and says, okay, that industrial lot right there, you could do the highest density, and you could basically forget environmental, forget everything else, you could put apartment building there. That's very dangerous, right? And so same thing with the waste, with the incinerator. We have fought for a long time as a city and understanding that the incinerator was there before Doral. Doral grew around it, but we are where we are today. And so we have to look at it for what it is today. Yeah. And if you have a facility that is outdated, old, in this case, burned, completely gone, it would be irresponsible
to
rebuild it in the same place where you've allowed all this development to happen. Because let's be very clear, the development that happened around that was not zoned by the city of Doral. It was zoned by the county. There was always a plan to move that facility in the future because of the capacity that it had. So this isn't something new. This is something that had been talked about in previous plans, 10-year plans, 20-year plans for the county, was for it to be moved. So just happened in a very unconventional way. It burned down, and so there was a decision that had to be made. But it's really a lack of planning on the county's part to prepare for that, for the future, for the future investment and infrastructure needs of our community and our cities. So we did fight very hard that should not be rebuilt near any residential neighborhood, because there are a lot of risks to it. So the solution needs to be to find a place that doesn't threaten our quality of life or anyone's quality of life. Understanding, yes, Doral grew around it, but with an intent that it would become a city and that area would no longer be what it used to be when that originally got built. Otherwise, you would have kept it all industrial and you wouldn't have rezoned it to have residential. So I think it's unfair to also say that we're penalized because of decisions that were made by others. But then again, I always say we're elected to find solutions for problems we didn't create. That's our job. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a job. Yeah. So our job is to find solutions for problems we didn't create. So I think that was something that it's still kind of up in the air what will happen with it. There hasn't been like a decisive decision, but I think the county commission did eventually recognize the threats it could cause to people's health and safety, and so ultimately was decided that it should not be within a 1 mile radius of any residential area.
Amazing.
So yeah, but there's no place in the county you can look at today that looks like it looked 50 years ago. There's none.
Mm-mm.
You know, I mean, there was a huge dump in the middle of Coconut Grove. Should we put one back there?
Yeah. Is there space
For building a new facility?
here?
There is.
Because I was
There
watching
are.
the commission meeting. They were like, oh, they would have to drive something out of the county.
Yes,
and
but
take the trash.
we're tracking it out now anyway.
Okay.
Yes, that is very typical for waste. What city do you see? I mean, there's a couple that they've shown, like Copenhagen and stuff. There are some cities that have technology that they say is very safe, that they've put these, but it doesn't look like dumps. The big problem we have also is the ash. And a lot of these other places or other civilizations around the world, the ash is like either buried or some are put in the water or in the ocean. We don't. We have mountains of ash. And one of the big issues, if you went to Doral when the incinerator was active, was that you would see ash on people's vehicles quite often. People are inhaling that. That's not healthy.
Wow.
So in most civilizations, the waste facilities are not in the urban areas or cores of the cities.
I see.
They are farther out in a more rural, which is what Doral used to be.
Right.
Right? That you used to have to truck it out to Doral. Doral is just what it is today because it's grown in the last 50 years to what it is. But yes, there is areas and there is space in the county. It's just there's got to be will to do it.
Amazing.
Make the decision.
So
But it
Mayor,
is poor planning.
Mayor Fraga, thank you so much for your track record in the city of Doral.
No,
Before you go, we have a rapid fire 60-second kind of question thingy that I do.
Okay.
And so the first question is, best spot in Doral for a quick Venezuelan or Cuban coffee?
For Venezuelan coffee or like a Venezuelan arepa?
Your choice.
Okay, so for Venezuelan arepa, I would say La Coreana.
Okay.
I love La Coreana. It's very, so there's a place in Venezuela called Maracaibo. It's bien maracucho is what we say. Great arepas there. Probably one of my favorites. And for Cuban coffee, I have to say Sergio's.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learning a
Sergio's.
little bit of Spanish. I went to Spain and Morocco this summer, and so
Oh,
I learned a little bit of
nice.
Darija, a little bit of Spanish. So
Very cool.
Trying.
Good for you.
Trolley or scooter for getting around Doral, if you had.
Our trolleys are great, super efficient. So one of my big projects when I was a councilwoman is I created the Doral and FIU trolley route. It's a direct route into FIU. It's one of our most highly utilized routes today. Actually, we're going to be adding an additional vehicle to it as we expand now because it's super useful. So our Doral trolley really provides a great service, and I wish we had more ridership. We have great ridership, but the more ridership we have, the more ability we have to fund it and a justification for growth.
Amazing. First job as a teenager, paid or unpaid?
First
So
job.
what was your first job as a
Paid.
teenager? Whether
It was paid. It
or
was paid. I
unpaid?
worked at IQ Zone, the still store there in Doral.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was at IQ Zone. It's a educational store.
2 more or 3? What your favorite amenity in the 80 or 82?
82 acre park.
82 acre Doral Central Park.
My favorite amenity is our aquatic center.
Amazing. FIU Panthers or UM Hurricanes? I hear that
Oh
you're
no,
a
Panther.
Okay.
Panther all the
I hear
way.
that you're a
Actually,
Panther. Your
President
dress.
Nunez was just calling me.
So, Grant had a bet that if you wore yellow to match with my shirt and essentially Panthers, then
That's because he saw me today.
oh,
That's what he said. He saw me earlier today.
he
That's
was
why
gonna
he
give
said
me
that.
$100 if you didn't
Oh, I
match
just-
with me.
I,
Dear God,
he saw me earlier today.
I almost got $100. Okay, now I owe him. In one word, what defines the spirit of Doral?
Family.
Family. Amazing.
Family, yeah. There's so much passion in Doral, and I think what makes it so wonderful is that because so many people left their families behind in their countries, they made family here, and so their neighbors became their families.
Amazing.
And so even I, who have all my family here, my friends are a part of my family from Doral. And, I will call one of my friends who our kids went to school together since they were 18 months, and I'll say, hey, I'm stuck in the office. Can you pick up Gabriel for me?
Wow.
And, and so I think that's such a beautiful thing to watch our community. Everybody knows each other. We all know each other by first name. We all have each other's numbers. So it's not like that very distant Americanized communities that I see where it's like you don't even know your neighbor. You've never asked your neighbor for a cup of sugar, like the old
In the
days,
movies.
right? Or
Yeah.
like eggs. We do that. We totally do that, and I think that that's such a defining part of Doral.
Amazing. Mayor Fraga, thank you so much for joining us today and for your unwavering leadership to ethical leadership, unwavering commitment
Go
to
ahead.
ethical leadership, public safety, and smart economic development. To our audience, today's conversation highlighted what happens when municipal leaders combine fiscal discipline with innovative constituent services. When cities cut red tape, prioritize constituent access, and invest in sustainable infrastructure, the entire regional economy wins. To keep up with Mayor Fraga's initiatives in Doral, visit cityofdoral.com or on Instagram at Christi Fraga. To learn more about how Virtutum Populo is equipping the next generation of public administrators and economic fellows, visit virtutumpopulo.org at our new website and follow us on social media. Until next episode, keep innovating, stay engaged, do your homework, and remember, leadership is about impact. I'm Clint John. Thanks for tuning in.